Hello everybody and welcome to the prototyping module as part of your workshop. My name is Peter Lynch and I'll be taking you through the basics of rapid prototyping over the next 20 to 30 minutes. Just a little bit about myself. I am a lecturer in TU Dublin in the School of Media. Prior to joining TU Dublin, I was the founder of two startups, one in gaming, one in mobile, and I would have over 20 years experience in digital product development. So yeah, lots and lots of prototyping and pitching. So hopefully going to pass on some, I was going to say some of my wisdom, but more just experience in doing prototypes and visualizing your idea. So that's what we're going to cover today. So first of all, just going to briefly look at why you would prototype. Then we're going to cover agile development, and again, really a very brief summary of this and really how it would impact on developing a prototype. Next, the important bit, visualizing your idea, your prototype, and finally, hopefully time permitting, developing your prototype. But the third one really is the important one for this exercise, which will be visualizing your prototype. So first of all, why prototype? Well, the old proverb, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So you have a really good idea, you've come up with a concept, and you maybe want to share it with your team or to pitch it to investors or whoever else you need to convey your idea to. Yes, you can write a really long description, but really, you know, if you can show it, people can understand quickly what you're trying to achieve, what your idea is. So a prototype really, and this is just a quick snapshot of what we're going to be doing. You know, you develop it to see, is your idea viable? Before you do much more work on it, is it something that people will really use? So hopefully a prototype can help you answer this. It can also, you know, help you understand the strengths and weaknesses of your idea, or maybe a particular feature in your idea. So some of the benefits of prototyping: it's low cost. I mean, we're going to look at a digital version, but if you have a pen and paper, you will be able to, you can prototype as well. It's quick. We're going to do one today. And it can be really quick. And finally, anyone can do it. Now, there are different types of prototypes that can be done. So obviously more technical ones would need a developer or somebody with programming knowledge, but just a basic prototype, a prototype design, more or less anybody can do it. So if you haven't heard the term Agile, so Agile is more or less how most or nearly all mobile apps or software projects are prototyped. And one of the most popular Agile development methodologies is Scrum. Now, we're not going to go into this in any detail really today, because it is a complex topic. So what we're going to cover really is, why do people use Agile? So typically, here's your app and you want to get it out to the market, and you know, you're going to need to design and develop it. It's going to take time, maybe get a team together, and Agile was really introduced to make it quicker to get out to the market. And again, I'm doing a summary of what's involved in Agile and Scrum, so bear with me. But really, it focuses on the rapid delivery of business value, and the idea is to get something working quickly. And it's the highest priority features you're going to develop relevant to the market. So why is this relevant to our prototype? So if you've an idea for your prototype and you've lots of features and things that may be in your app or your product, if it's a physical product, you're going to need to list all those features, right? So here's your idea. You have an idea. We'll use an app. That's probably the easiest one to show on the screen here. And so you've all the different features that will be in it. Now, the question to ask is, are all these features equally important? And in most cases they're not. There are some features that really are core to your concept, your app idea, and others are important but maybe not as important. So this is where a product backlog comes in. So for a game that I was recently working on, we had a brainstorming session and we came up with all these ideas that would be in the game that we're going to do. So we had all these different ideas here. And so the idea, what we do with a product backlog is we take our ideas and we list them from the most important to the least important. So we ended up with something like this. So, and what we decided then for our prototype, now this is for a game we were going to do, really the first 6, actually 7 in this case, were the ones we are going to have in the prototype, because we just wouldn't be able to put all of these into the prototype. And so you can see here the product backlog is a very useful thing to do, an exercise after you've done your brainstorming session and you've come up with your idea and you've lots of different features. Now there's various techniques to help rank from the most important to the least important, but because we've limited time, what I would suggest is to just discuss it in your group, or if it's just you're doing this on your own, is what you think is the most important to the least important of the features that would be in your prototype. So hopefully you've done that and you've got a product backlog. So the next thing we need to do is to visualize your prototype. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a wireframe version of your app or your product idea. Now, this is what a full screen looks like developed. Now we're not going to do that because that will take a lot of time, a designer, developer to do. So we're just going to create a wireframe, and a wireframe really is a very basic, think of it like a blueprint, a very simple blueprint. We're just using, there's no colors, we're just going to use text and some basic shapes to outline the features that would be in each screen. So typically this is what wireframes look at. So you can see they're very straightforward to do, and what you're doing is really on each screen is covering the key pieces of functionality that will be on each screen. So here we have a logon screen, and so rather than creating buttons or adding interactivity, we're just going to visually lay out using very simple 2D boxes, rectangles. That we're going to do is and they'll represent what the functionality would be. So you can draw wireframes or you can create digital versions. So here's if we want to draw them, and here's some created digitally. So we're going to create digital versions, but just for the exercise today, you can, depending on how much time you have and online access, you potentially could draw the wireframes as well, but I'm going to do them digitally today. So I'm going to use Miro. So Miro is an online collaborative whiteboard. Now I'm using this because I know it. I used it a bit, but there are many others. Microsoft have a free one as well. Miro is actually free to the basic one to use, but there are lots of others out there. So just if you don't like this one, you can find another online whiteboard to wireframe your prototype. So Miro.com, it's free to register, and you can follow along with me. We'll switch over screens in a minute. So this is it here. So I'm going to switch over to Miro now, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a prototype. Now, one useful thing to cover with Miro, it actually has a default template prototype done, and this is the link to it. So it's good to actually look at this. It's for a very straightforward mobile app, but they have that done for you. So if you wanted to modify that, you could do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a very simple prototype, a few screens, just do it now and just show you how to use Merrel. It is very straightforward. Okay, so for the sample prototype, I've come up with the amazing idea of a carbon footprint calculator, but for offices. There's lots of them out there, but this one is going to be for offices. So some of the key screens that I want to show, really the registration, login, you're going to enter the office details, maybe all the equipment and the power in the office. Then it's going to do a carbon analysis and office suggestions. Now I'm probably only going to get 3 of these screens done just because of time, but you know, typically this is as again, if you have your product backlog, you might have 10 or 12 features or screens, and you might go, well, the really important one actually is the office details and the carbon analysis. So I'm going to skip the registration and log on. I don't need those, so I'm really going to concentrate on the important ones. So just to bear that in mind. But for the purposes of the time that we have, I'm just going to probably do the first 3 screens. Okay, so I'm going to switch across to Miro. And if you've registered on Miro, this is what it will look like. This is the template prototype that I mentioned earlier. So if you go into it here, it's actually done for you. I'm using my mouse here to zoom in and out, but I'm going to create one from scratch here. But this is the template that I talked about earlier. So I'm just going to go back to the home screen here in Miro. So we're going to create a new board. And we're going to close this. We're just going to create a blank one. So here we go, empty screen. One thing to note, I have, and this is the menu here on the left. We're going to be using about 3 or 4 of these, right? So just an important one to note, if I leave the mouse over here, you can see there's the wireframe library. Now that may or may not be installed for a first-time user. If it's not, if you just go to the 3 little dots at the end there, apps, search for wireframes, and you can install it. Okay, because it may be installed by default, but just in case it isn't, if you just go down here, search for wireframe, and it'll add the option in here for the wireframe library. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to create the login screen, the register screen, and I might do a search screen. Okay, so the way Miro works is, just to show you, is again, it's a whiteboard. So effectively, if I want to draw a basic shape, I can put it here, and this could be maybe be the login screen, and I could go back again with a basic shape, and this could be the button to log in here, and I could go along like this and work this way. And you can drag, you can see here, it's very intuitive. You can just drag things, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to use the wireframe library, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to get rid of this here. So the wireframe library, as you can see here, it opens up. It comes with a number of pre-built icons. I'm going to scroll down. You can use these ones up here, but I'm going to use their older ones, the previous wireframes. I think I like them a bit more. Now, as you can see here, it's got little icons representing a user interface. So this is really useful. It saves us drawing all these. We could do it ourselves, but you know, easier to do that. So let's get started. So I'm going to do this for, say, I could do it for a web browser or the iPad. I'm going to do it for the iPad. I think I want this to be on the iPad. So I've dragged this in here. I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom in and out, by the way, just in case you're wondering there. So this is going to be the register screen. So I'm going to put in, and you can close this back if you want. So it's just, if you can see here, it's the wireframe library. And I am going to add in some text, which is the T here. So this is going to be the, where somebody registers. Registration. Okay, and we'll go back to our library here, and I'm going to add in, so typically you would have text boxes where you need to register. So as this is an office, We might go with the business name. And I'm just copying and pasting these ones here. You put in their address. Now, again, if I had time, I'd be doing these all neatly aligned, but we don't have too much time, so I'm going to just kind of plow ahead quickly. And I may then have the now one thing you can see here with Miro, you need to be careful, you can drag, accidentally drag, and I may have their company registration number. Okay, and then obviously we need a button when we've hit all these, so I think just do a button filled, there we go. And you can see here, I'm just double clicking here. So straight off, got my nice registration screen done very quickly. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to go back up here, drag this across. We're going to do, say we've registered and now we want to log in. So what I'm doing is I'm copying and pasting a bit because probably trying to work as quick as I can. So we might have the login here. And again, I'm going to be a bit lazy here, copy and paste. And we'd have the username. And remember what I said earlier about working on with the product backlog, the most important screen. So you really, you know, I'm just doing this just to show you how to use Miro. Really, you should be working on the most important screens first, and then doing kind of less important ones like login and registration. So username. Password. And again, we want to log in. Okay, so we're going to do one more screen, put a bit more functionality in it. So you can see here I'm zooming out. I'm going to add another screen. So you get the idea, hopefully. If so, say the next screen I want to have, this is where we might have the office details. So we might have 10 people in our office. And what we need to do then is we need to enter the carbon details for each of the staff members. So I'm going to design a screen here that will have the team in the office, and if we click then on each one, we will get the details there, maybe the machinery they're using, their other equipment that they may have, things like that. And so what we'll have, if we click one person, we may get a drop down box. So this is a drop down box here. So I can zoom in here so you can see here, if I can select, then this allows me then, I think that'd be nice to select whichever user. And then if I do select somebody, I'm going to get information about them. And right now, I don't know what that'll be. So I'm going to put in a placeholder here. So this will give me the information about the person. So you can see here pretty quickly, just design 3 screens. Now I'm going to put in, and the only ones I've been using really in Miro are, this is to select things. You can see here, this is the text if I want to enter text, and these are basic shapes. So if I wanted to put in, if I couldn't find a particular wireframe here, because these are all the options, I can just draw basic shapes. So I may go, you know, I couldn't find the one that I wanted. So I will just use a rectangle here to represent something, but I'm not going to do, well, actually I will. I'll put it, since I've put it in, I'll put in, this is the user information screen here. User carbon footprint. Okay, so there we go. Now, as you can see, you can go away and design the screens that you need for your app here. And again, what's really useful is having these icons with the user interface icons here. So, you know, you can work away and design your app and do, you know, there's a lot of different details you could put in here. You may have, just scrolling all the way down here, you may have a video player. And this may give you further information on, you know, suggestions for reducing the office carbon footprint related to a particular piece of equipment. Okay, so that's Merrel. So very straightforward. It really is a whiteboard. You could draw all this. At the end of the day, you know, this makes it just a bit easier. There's all different features here, but I'm just showing you a quick way to prototype your app or concept idea. So that's Merrel, and what you can do then is you can export your Miro whiteboard, or you can simply take a screen grab of it. So there's different ways you can do. Really, with the basic version, obviously there's limitations. So I'd probably suggest maybe even just taking a screen grab, and you can put it into PowerPoint or Word after you've designed it. There are 3 users can share a board, so that's nice. So if there's 3 in a team, you can actually work with the free version, and obviously then you can add other. Obviously, if you want the paid one, you can add further users to it. So, but there we go. There's our very quick prototype using Miro. And again, all I'm using was the text, the shapes, and really the wireframe library, because that's got all those nice user interface icons, and you can quickly prototype with it. So, hope you have fun with it. Just to go back to our slides here. So that's what we were creating, our sample prototype using Miro. And again, remember, if you do have a product backlog created, you probably would be starting with the most important screens first, which would be these ones, not the registration and login. So finally, just to look at making an interactive prototype. So there are a number of different software apps and tools out there for creating interactive prototypes. These are just some of them. Adobe has one. There's much. Sketch I've used briefly. So there's a lot of them out there. The main thing to consider with an interactive prototype is how much all of these you need to learn, and what's the best use of your time. So sometimes you might be better working with somebody, be it a developer or designer, who actually has used these already. Okay, so there is a learning curve with each of these. Others that I've used, obviously I do a lot of games and apps, so Unity and Adobe Animate I use, but they are technical, and there is a pretty steep learning curve with these two. So that's just one thing to bear in mind, is how much time and who will do it in the team. Okay, so one quick and easy option that people, if you want to get something interactive and basic, is PowerPoint itself. It's what I'm using now. So PowerPoint has a feature called actions. So you can see here, insert action. And I'm going to show you, I'm just going to do 2 screens, right? So if you wanted to create a very basic interactive prototype in PowerPoint, I'm just going to show you how to do it. Okay, so let's create a blank PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm just going to start with just an empty PowerPoint here. Okay, and I'm going to think back to the app that I'm creating, so we're just going to have a blank screen here. altogether, completely empty. And we are going to, again, create our screen here. And I'm going to do this kind of quick because I'm not sure how my timing is going. So here's our screen, and I'm going to not have it empty. And this might be our login screen. So, okay. So our login screen, and we will going to do this as quick as I can. So here's our login screen, and we will need to input our details. So we'll have our name, and we will have our hopefully, yes, hopefully password. And we now need a button. So here's our login screen, and obviously when we log in, we are going to go to our user page. So I'm going to duplicate the last slide because, so say I log in and I go into my user profile, and this will be my user profile. So name, and this is for, say, the company name. I'm just going to make this screen a bit different. Bear with me, there's a purpose to what I'm doing, I hope. So company name, office team, and you may have some other things in the user office location. There we go. Get rid of that. Okay. So the other thing then we may have is, say when we log in, actually I don't want to go to the user, I want to go to the actual layout of the office team. Okay, that's the screen that I want to go to, because I want to, that's the most important one, so I want to get to that screen straight away. So I'm just going to do that here. So this will have the office team. So I'm going to use a feature in, and you're probably well aware of this, the icons in PowerPoint, people, person. Okay, so this is going to be our, actually, do they have a team? I should really do they have a team? I'll say team. There we go. Okay, so here's our office team. Cool. So did I get two there? I did. Okay. So when I log in now, I actually want to go straight to this, and then when I click on any of these people, then that I will get information about the carbon information about their location in the office. Okay, so here's 3 very quick screens done. So just to show you the feature in PowerPoint that allows you to make it interactive. So go back here, I go to my login, I click on this, and this is the button. This is the one that I want. So what I go is insert action, and I link to the particular slide that I want, and I can pick any slide here. So it's obviously the 3rd slide. So now if I run this, and I was sending this to somebody, and I wanted to mimic how the app might work, you can see now actually, yeah, that's how I can add this functionality. So say I click on a particular person, and then I want the data for that person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that here. So this will allow me to select a team member, and I'm going to again duplicate this here. And again, sorry, I'm doing just really basic, but just because of time, this is just, so I'm going to go carbon data. Their Office PC. And then their Office ID, say. Okay. So when I click on this particular person, so again, I'm going to go action. And I'm going to go, I want to link to a particular slide. So I want to link to slide 4 with that one. So let's run our app, our PowerPoint now. So we log in, we have our team, we can select a team member, and we get the data on that team member there. So doing this really very basically, but you get the idea that you could mimic simulate the action of an app very quickly using, if you did want to show somebody the functionality in an interactive way. And you could use, as I said, you can use the feature in PowerPoint to do that. So yeah, so that's PowerPoint and the insert action feature. And again, it allows you just to do very basic interactivity. Essentially, you're simulating what the app functionality is. But again, to somebody who wouldn't be aware, they might get a quick idea of what you're trying to do there. As I said, you do have these are the other options for interactive prototypes. You could also use web builders such as Weebly or Wix. But again, depending on how sophisticated the prototype you want to be, again, there is a learning curve with all of these. So again, I did just wanted to show you, if you didn't realize it, there is an option on PowerPoint to do, you know, the quick and easy, simple simulation type of an interactive prototype. So that's it. That's us done. I'm hoping my timing is right. So thanks for your time. And my advice is get prototyping. And as I said, I hope you enjoy the rest of your hackathon and that you found this presentation useful. So thanks again and take care.